Infinitive is a consultancy that has been driving strategic change for organizations for over 10 years. I've been lucky enough for the past 2.5 to help build out the digital ad solutions practice. What I want to talk about is enterprise, setting up a product taxonomy in an enterprise software. But first you have to think about, why is enterprise software so important? Enterprise software is really critical because you've got to get one data set that each of your disparate teams are working off of. I think somebody referred to it, Jason referred to it this morning as one version of the truth. And this is really critical, and if you get it right, then what you can do is enforce process controls, you can gain operational efficiencies, and most important, uncover those really important business insights that with that knowledge you can take action and force that change. The types of data that each of our business runs on includes our customer data, our accounts, our advertisers, our agencies, our order data, of course, delivery information, et cetera, our team and user data, but the product data I think is the one that gives us the most headache in trying to define, because each of our ad tech providers speak to products, define a product in a very different manner. Each of our functional teams speak to or define a product in a very different manner. So what I want to talk about is product taxonomy and both product packaging. But a product taxonomy is our parts list, right? These are our components. It is our raw material that everybody knows very well in our organization and all of the modifiers thereof. Our product packaging is this more sexier element, which what we can do is bundle said products in a more innovative and fun way. Try to think or consider building the Millennium Falcon without having a parts list, or worse yet, from a box of Legos that have not been pre-selected for this model. What happens if agencies demand your latest and greatest innovative thing, and your sales planner promises it and brings it back to your home office, and your sales planner doesn't know these component parts to traffic? Your sales planner has sold in Spanish, your planner, your sales executive sold in Spanish, your planner speaks French, and your trafficker speaks German, and a lot is lost in that translation. And there we have that leaky bucket, which I love that term. So what's critical in this product taxonomy is that, product taxonomy is this Rosetta Stone. It helps to bring together the multiple languages and helps to define them with common definitions across the organization. That team-specific definition, that technology-specific definition, they all get mapped in a way that makes your business to make that communication more effective. Your global taxonomy includes a page-to-package. It covers the page-to-package, which I love, or package-to-page is another way to think about it. On your page, that's where your products start. Maybe even the logic or the JavaScript that's actually rendering those ad tags. The products that then get surfaced from those ad slots on your pages. The targeting that then can be applied to each of those products. The business rules. Different products go to different teams. Different rate cards are applied to different products. And then that last layer is that packaging. So it's really expansive, right? But if you don't have the building blocks or you don't have the components, none of it is able to be scalable in your organization. I want you just to read some of these quotes on the board and just raise your hand, nod your head if any of these sound familiar. I have too many products. I don't have enough products. I wish I could traffic more easily. I don't understand how to map products from one system to another system. Any familiarity at all? I know Preeti has some familiarity. What's interesting about some of these comments that you might hear in the hallways of your businesses, two things. First of all, the number of perspectives that are covered on this board. There are over 8 teams just in this one example. I've got sales AEs with an opinion on your products. I've got planners, I've got traffickers, I've got inventory managers, I've got data analysts, I've got EDW, system architects, inventory managers, et cetera. Everybody in your organization has an opinion on your product set. And what's important is some of those opinions actually directly contradict each other. So this is not going to be an exercise, an easy exercise. It might require some facilitation and mediation, and more importantly, compromise. I talked to some of the consultants, and these are some of the tips that came to mind when we were trying to boil down some best practices on getting this right. First, involve all your stakeholders. Again, this is not just a game of ops and sales and product. It's a much wider audience that is interested and have an opinion on making this work. Resist the temptation to use notes. It's a scapegoat. Become students of the system, I think, is a really important one. Each of you are probably going to surface your product catalog in either an order management system, a yield system, an ad server, an analytics system, and if you don't know the parameters or their vernacular, then you're going to fall short. Cover your bases. I spoke to that. Each taxonomy is unique. Each of you in this room have different things about your business. Your product taxonomies are not going to look the same. They're not going to have the same number of dimensions even. And that's okay. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Consider team-specific impacts when trade-offs are encountered. What this means is that it might be okay to rob Peter to pay Paul in certain cases. Know the questions to ask, set aside the time, make it a priority, of course. I wish I could say that there's one path to go down to get it right. It's not. It's much more, it's a journey. But I know one thing is that it's probably going to end up and you're going to document it in a grid first before you loaded it into any system, right? If you're working in a data loader, you're already thinking too much about a system and not about a business strategy, okay? Probably start with knowing your business. This actually doesn't look too dissimilar from that first slide, and I swear Jason and I did not compare slides at the beginning of the presentation. But he was talking a lot about distribution models, right? And that's usually your first step. Anytime I learn a new organization, I start with, well, how does your business run? How do you sell your products? Is it a direct or reseller market? Do you sell portfolio-based or vertical-based, endemic, non-endemic, et cetera? You have to understand first the scope of your organization, how you go to market, because that right in and of itself could actually create a dimension for your product set, okay? Second is understand the dimensions of your products. So this would be platform, desktop, mobile, display, VOD, over the top, connected TV, ad type, display, video, or native, ad slot, these are your skyscrapers, your push-down units, et cetera, your targets, all of the different targeting capabilities that you offer, content targeting, demo targeting, behavioral targeting, device targeting, et cetera. And then, of course, it's asking the right questions. My favorite thing to say is that, again, nobody knows the answer, but there's a lot of power in getting all of those different opinions in one room, all of those 7 different opinions that were so chatty and opinionated on that earlier slide. Get them in a room and ask them the same question and compare their answers. Make it a dialogue. Don't interview folks independently and try to reconcile those differences, and load it into the system. If you get it right, this is where these controls, efficiencies, and insights can enable your business to take action. From the control standpoint, you can set up workflows just to make sure that you're monitoring, make sure you don't sell an ad under the right, or for the false pretense, for the wrong price, without the right approval. Efficiencies, integrations become easier, right? If you have a clean product taxonomy, you can actually enable new technology in a much simpler, with less overhead than you would if you also have to reinvigorate that process as well. Speeding up the sales order entry process is critical. Eliminating errors and confusion in that translation between the sales request and the ops request. And then, of course, insights. You are not going to be able to get a successful report, or more importantly, you're going to spend more time building the report than you are analyzing the report if you have an incomplete or unclean product taxonomy. So now we get to the fun part, where I think some of you might get more excited about building upon and product packaging and the go-to-market offering. For those of you who are like me, you're a little bit more type A and you like to organize your Legos, but we'll take it. Product packaging can really help the yield of your products. You can increase sell-through on less desirable inventory. You can increase rates by bundling less desirable and more desirable inventory together in one package. You can lower cost by avoiding recreating the wheel, and lower some of your operational cost, or even protect revenue by just ensuring that there are not as many errors. In addition to sales strategy, which are the first 3 points on the left, there's also some just utility in product packaging. It is a tool in your toolkit. So even if you don't change how you are going to sell, you can use product packaging capabilities to just enable delivery reconciliation, or more importantly, match the I/O to what the agency's I/O looks like. How long has that been a problem in our space, that the internal I/O couldn't match the same level of detail or promises or expectations that your agency have been expecting? Here's the problem, though. And the number of publishers that I've worked with over the last couple of years, product packaging is not as adopted as much as product taxonomy. A lot of times it's overseen as a system configuration thing or a technical activity as opposed to a sales strategy. The system capabilities are intimidating or misunderstood. Manual processes that need to occur in order to get packaging out to the sales team, and also more importantly, who is accountable for those practices is not identified at an organization. And most importantly, it's scary to change what you do and how you go to market with your agencies. This is the one slide that I have on Operative. Operative comes out of the box with 4 different types of packages, but one of those challenges I said is that they can actually be intimidating. So these are the 4 standard packages in Operative, and I wanted to demystify some of the capabilities, because these can be really great utilities for your business. Bottom up, actually, what a bottom-up package does is puts the distribution of, if you think about it, a child placement in the arms of a seller. You sell 100,000 impressions, and the salesperson can control 30,000 impressions go to product A, and 70,000 impressions go to product B. And you can wash out delivery from one product to another product. KBB does this a lot. The opposite of that, I'm actually going to skip to the third one, is the top-down, where your product administrator can control that distribution. So the same 100,000 impressions where the product administrator has forced upon or defined the product as a 35 or a 30-70 split between that product distribution. But again, the business is in control of how they are distributing those impressions based on information that their system is telling them about the desire, the supply and demand of those products. A run of allows, is sort of like a hyped up product in and of itself. It allows a salesperson to cherry pick, either to add to a predefined product or remove from a product on the fly. But what's great about this product is that the ad server controls the distribution. So live and dynamically, it's deciding which products to deliver to in one line. So just think of to yourself, when you're overwhelmed, there's financial impacts, there's reporting impacts of each of these products, there's a lot of different variables of these products, but think about how and who controls that distribution, and it will demystify some of those complications. But they're all great utilities. This last one is a placeholder product, which allows total freedom. So if you really run into a situation where you need total flexibility, then you can actually use a placeholder product where even the child lines and the parent lines don't even need to reconcile. Common mistakes using notes, I keep on saying it, overthinking it, endless combinations of products and modifiers. Even if it's feasible, even if we document every single combination or variation of our products and our modifiers, we come up with that perfect list that is 40,000 products, and I know some of you have done it. And even if it's feasible, and even if we can get those products loaded into the system, it's not scalable, it's not administratable, you will change your mind, trust me. Underthinking it, naming convention, somebody even asked that question. There are little details that can really make a difference in your business. So focusing on those little details are important. Dedicating, another mistake is a lot of people swarm this activity at the beginning of an enterprise effort, and then they forget, and they leave it alone. Or maybe there's just one guy. And so that's what happens when you say, well, it used to be clean, and it used to make sense, and it used to be up to date. This is not a one-time effort. This is a living, breathing thing. And then training. So 5 key takeaways. I did something similar. One, it's a product definition is a business strategy, and the product taxonomy enables that strategy. It is a business-first exercise. This is not a configuration exercise. It will eventually need to be loaded into whatever system that you are working in, but it is a business-first exercise. Stakeholders are not limited to sales and ops. This is much bigger. Billing, finance, yield, analytics, your commissioning strategy, product, EDW, business intelligence. Your product packaging will evolve over time. So if you are not considering anything beyond that first load, you're going to sell yourself short. You need a strong administrator or evangelist that works with your product teams. You need change management procedures to identify when the new products are required. And you absolutely need ongoing training. And if it has skits, it's even better and you can make it more fun. When faced with trade-offs, I love this one because this is what you get to do as a consultant. When you're faced with trade-offs, it's okay to say that there are teams that can handle more pain than others. And sometimes that's my job to point out. But you are going to have to make trade-offs. You sometimes will have to make things harder for one team in order in the spirit of making it better for another. So understand strengths and weaknesses, I think, is really important. And lastly, just because it's cutting edge doesn't mean that you can't productize it. You can always productize the unproductizable. This exercise is not what gets in the way of innovation, okay? Innovation is enabled by a common product definition. So, any questions?
Hi, I'm Shannon from Magazine Publisher. I was wondering, how do you productize non-digital properties with the digital properties in that we sell a lot of events and print products along with our digital properties?
Absolutely. I mean, the reality is that a product can have no variables whatsoever, right? A product could just be a name. Or it could actually have variables and common modifiers. So if there is, an event or a classified listing in a magazine or a, email drop, whatever, you can absolutely productize it and combine it because at the very least it is one field of data. At the very most, you can actually attempt to try to categorize it or bundle it and actually integrate it potentially with another system as long as they can handle an acceptance or an ingest of data in those attributes. I mean, that's all it is, right? Everything in this is bits and bytes. So it's just, do you want one bit, which is a label or a name, or do you want to actually take the opportunity to break that product into its components and variables, try to draw some comparisons with other products that you have, and potentially even try to tackle an integration if some of those other systems or other fulfillment systems can handle it. So.